Hey everyone, welcome back to Code of Throw. In this video, I'm going to be going over adding an enemy into my custom game called Loin. I'm going to be adding a custom enemy over to my game that I'm making in Unreal Engine 5. So let's go ahead and get started. And before this, I just added some sound effects to my game, just for my sword. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do is actually import one of the K-Kit asset packs. So I know for K-Kits asset packs, they're not 100% for Unreal. They're just exported out of Blender, so I need to size them up. So what I'm going to do is just drag in that FBX file, and I want to import the animations that come with it. So I'll check this box. And then for the import uniform scale, I'm going to set this to 50. Just because when I tried importing it before, it was super tiny and I couldn't see anything. And in scale of my cow character, 50 is the good. Making it 50 times bigger was suitable for my needs. And now I'll just drag and drop the weapons. And I think for this, I need to set this to 50 times bigger as well. Let me just double check. Yeah, this looks pretty good. And I need to import textures. So I'll just import the textures. So I'll just call this folder textures. And then I'll call this FBX weapons. And now I just need to set the actual textures to these weapons. So I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to open up my skeleton and go into my textures folder, right click both of these and just create a material out of them. And I'll just apply it here and I'll hit save. So there's this green variation that I can use or this white one. So I'll just use the green one for now. And when I drag him into my map, he looks pretty fitting with my cow character. Looks like has a good size to it. And yeah, let's go ahead and get him set up. So I'm just going to create another folder called animations for this character. Select all my animations, just drag it in here. And I'm just going to right click, select blueprint class, and look for an ACF simple template ABP. And I'll just call this orc simple template ABP. Double click it, select this orc skeleton, click OK. And now I'm just going to leave everything as the regular moveset because this skeleton already comes with weapons. So he already comes with weapons, so I'm just going to leave it as is. So in my simple template, I'm just going to go over to details, make sure IK is turned off, no foot IK needed also. And for the moveset, I'll just do a regular moveset, just basic moveset. And then I want to create a moveset for him. So I'm just going to right click, blueprint class, create a moveset. And I need to do a simple moveset. So I'll do orc moveset ABP, double click it, select the orc skeleton again, click OK, hit details. And now we need to create a movement blend space, idle blend space. And I think we only need these two because I'm not going to have this guy jump unless it's just through an animation. So I will just go over to here, right click animation, create a 2D blend space, create a regular blend space using this orc skeleton. And I'll just call this orc movement underscore BS. And I'll right click, go to animation, go to legacy to create a blend space 1D, which is just going to be our idle. So I'll do orc idle ABP or BS. And now for the orc, I just want to select an idle animation. So this one looks good. This one looks good. Sitting's fine too. I'll just do the regular idle animation for my blend space. So I'll just drag this here. I kind of want this to be centered. So I will just set this to 50, just so it's right in the middle. Hit save, and then now we'll set up our movement animation blueprint. So for the orc movement BS, we are just going to do a run animation. So there's this kind of running and this kind of running. So I think, yeah, this one looks a bit cleaner, less clunky. So I'll just drag this running A in here. And I just want this to be right in the middle. And this looks good to me. So I will just click on my class default, select that orc moveset ABP, and then I also want to open this moveset and select those orc movement blend space and the orc idle blend space. And then I'll hit compile and save. And we'll be able to set up our attack animations through our montage sets. So under character, I'm going to select ACF AI character. And then in parentheses, it says AI character. Just select that. And I'll call this orc AI. I'll double click to open this up. And I'm just going to change this mesh over to the orc one that I created. Or not the one that I created, but for the anim class, I created this simple template movement. And I want to change some of the stuff like the capsule settings. I'll set this to 50 and 50. And then I need to raise this. Let me snap to grid actually. Raise it a bit just so the feet line up perfectly with the ground. I'll hit compile and I'm going to drag this into the map to see if he actually just stays in the idle state. So now when I hit play, you can see that he is in an idle state. So this looks good. So now we need to find a way for him to come after me and chase me. So down here under pawn, there's an autopossess AI or AI controller class. It's called ACF AI controller. So I need to look for, so let me try changing this to melee. So if I go into my plugins folder, there is already a bunch set up for us. And it comes with our ACF behavior tree, behavior blueprint or blackboard, behavior blackboard, combat behavior, and so on. Comes with a bunch of tasks that we can add on to, controllers, which is what we need to do. And okay, this looks good. So I'm going to set this to ACF melee controller, and I need to give it its own action set. So when I go over to my ACF actions comp, you'll see that it's using the default one, but this isn't made for our pawn or this character. So I can just X that out and create a new one. So I'll go over back to my orc folder, right click, create an action set and call this orc_AS. And I'll just assign it here, hit compile. And now we can begin editing our orc action system. And I'm just going to add a simple montage called, and I'm just going to add a montage. So I need to go back and create one. So back in my project, I'm going to right click, create animation montage using my orc raider skeleton and call this orc attack_am. And I'll just right click new folder for montages because this might get a little cluttered. And now in my attack montage, I am going to look for a couple attacks. Okay, so I'm going to give it the dual wield stuff because this is actually a little more suitable for my needs. But yeah, I'll just set the montage up for my action set over here. Set the action to ACF attack action VP. And for the enemies, I'm not going to have it cost anything. So I'm going to get rid of the action cost, which is defaulted to stamina using 32. Delete that. And then tag name, I'm just going to look for an action.attack and hit compile and save. So now I'm going to double click this orc attack animation montage and add some attacks into it. So we can do a dual wield chop. And I'll just do this one for now and come back to it. Okay, so basically when he attacks, I wanted to, going to add another track over here. ACF action substate. So basically it's going to be able to attack here, from here to here, and then again from here to here on this hand. And then I also need to add an exit notification. So I'll do ACF notify exit action over here and just a regular notify here. ACF notify action over here. And this looks good to me. I'm also going to make sure these are all root motion. So I'll just enable it for this one. Now let's see if he can actually attack us. We might need to configure the AI controller or the team. So he's coming after me. Let's see if he attacks us. So I can hit him. So that's good. I'm hitting him. There's a bit of a screen shake that I need to turn off. And yeah, so he's not attacking me. So it might be because maybe I didn't set up a nav mesh. Oh, no, I did. That's why he's moving around. Okay. So let's see. Why is he not attacking me? So it may not be attacking me just because I need to set up the sockets for its technically unarmed state, even though it has weapons. But that's just because it comes with these mesh, the mesh itself. So what I'm going to do is go over to my ACF collisions manager and we need to add some traces. So there's no trace here and I'll begin adding some. So I'll add a start and end socket and I actually want two traces, one for the right hand, one for the left hand. And I'll change the damage type to ACF cut for both. So I'm going to call this right weapon and let's call this one left weapon. So it's called start and end, which might trigger both, but let's go ahead and try it. I'm just going to open the skeletal mesh asset for my orc and I am just going to assign it some. So for my orc, I'm going to add a socket called start And then under the club again, I'm going to add one called end. And then for end, I'm just going to move it all the way to the end right here. And that's good. And then I'll do the same here. So what this might do is trigger both of my starts and end sockets at the same time. But if it does that, that's totally fine. So I'm going to add socket R start like that. And then I'll add another socket called R end. And I'll move this to the very end over here. And that looks good to me. So when I go back to my orc character or my orc AI, I'll go back to the collisions manager component and just change this from start, or for the right weapon, I'll change it from start to R start and then R end. Now I'll hit compile and save. And let's see if he attacks me now. So he's following me, but not actually attacking me. So in order for to have my enemy attack me, I basically just set damage to activate to from left and right weapon over to physical damage, and then I just define these two traces, these trace channels, which is defined in my orc AI in the collisions manager over here. So for the damage traces, I had a right weapon and left weapon. And another thing that I needed to do was over in my orc AI, scroll all the way down, and this is actually not a ACF melee controller. We want to change it to ACF no weapons AI controller to start actually attacking. And the reason for that is just because there is its own modifiers for having a weapon, maybe some sort of weapon AI behavior that I can do versus just being an unarmed character. So when I hit play, this guy should attack me. And yeah, and my screen is sort of having a weird collision detection with the axe that it goes through me, and it's actually not hitting me. Feels like I'm not taking any damage, so let's go ahead and fix that up. So I'm just going to double check to see if the AI is on another team. It's attacking me, so it should be. But when I go over to my AI controller class, double click to open this up, it will say that this character is on team. Maybe I'll just search for it. Oh yeah, so it says team 2. And under my player controller, it says that I am on team 1. So that's good because we're not allied. So that's why it's attacking me. But I need to see why my character isn't taking any damage. And this could be for multiple reasons. So this could be because the character doesn't have a physics asset applied. So let's go ahead and check it. Scroll down. Yeah, it says it has physics asset, which is also determined by this. Okay, that's good. And maybe because I just need to set some damage to this orc weapon. So when I go to the collisions manager, I'll set the it does say it's 0 damage, so maybe that's why. I'll do something like 1 damage here, 1 damage here. And now let's see, does he actually hit me? So now I need to check my character to see if I'll have any collisions with him. Okay, I see. So it's not actually triggering it's not actually triggering these, yeah, it's not triggering the sockets when it crosses through me. As you can see, it's staying red. So we need to find out why these traces are not turning on. And it's because earlier I did not have this ACF action substate. I did change it to ACM collision, ACM activate collision ANS, and that was just to test it out, and I forgot to change it. So let's go ahead and change this appropriately, just like we did before. So this swing, and then this swing. Okay, boom. Okay, that's perfect. And now you'll see that when my character gets attacked by him, he is taking damage, and that's exactly what we want. But it doesn't feel lively, so we do need some hit animations on both ends, maybe some motion warping for the pushback. And I also need to add some shield effects. But for this video, we are focusing more on the enemy character, so let's go ahead and do that. So for my enemy character in the action set, I am going to add another action, and this will be an actions.hit. So I need to add that in. Oh, actually it's already here. So I have an actions.hit, and I want to look for advanced hit action. I'll open this up, and these are pretty much telling us which hit direction montages to map to. So section name front will trigger our frontal damage. Section name back will trigger the back damage, and so on. You can even get kind of specific about legs and elbows and stuff. And this looks good to me. Oh, and we can set the warp distance from here. So our knockback distance and so on. But let's go ahead and just set some actions. So in my montage section, I'm going to create another montage and a montage using the orc raider skeleton called orc hit underscore am. Double click to open this up, and I'm going to look for hit directions for the hit animation. And this does only come with one or a couple hit animations. So there's a block hit, regular hit, and kind of like a heavy hit. So I'll just do the heavy hit one for now, just to give it some time before it starts running back to my character. So I'll just test this out to see when he gets hit, how to play. So I just did ACF hit action and I deleted the hit direction to montage section maps just because there's only one direction that he's going to get hit from because he's always going to be facing me when he's near me. So now in my orc AI, I need to go over to my ACF hit component or my damage handler component and actually add this. So the hit response action is just going to say every direction and the action tag will be actions.hit. And the priority of this will be high and I'll just leave the rest as default. So when I go over to my testing place and I attack him, he's going to play that hit animation. So this looks pretty good. But I also do want to give him some pushback. So let's go ahead and do that. So back in my orc action set under the hit, I need to add some sort of warp or something that's going to push my character away. So I'm going to change this from regular ACF hit action to advanced hit action. So we get this warp component. I'm going to delete the hit direction to montage section map. And then for the warp, I'm going to do something like, let's try 600 for now. And now when I hit play and attack this guy, it doesn't actually push him back. So let me double check why that's happening. Let's see what happens if he hits me. Oh, let me also turn off that debug. So that is for the collisions manager. I'm just going to, or that's for the actions component. I'm going to turn off the debug info. So I'm going to change this show debug info in my ACF collisions over to don't show. And now in my actions set, so the hit warp is set to 600, but he's actually not getting pushed back. Let me see if I need to do it on my character too. So let me head over to my character BP, go to my actions component, open up my action set, and I actually need to do the one for my sword. So let me open my sword and shield action set, double click to open that up. And when I attack, I want to set a warp of something like, let's do warp distance 600 minimum. I'll change this to 600 just to see how it works. And when I hit him, no, he's still not getting pushed. So let's see if I can actually block him. So the block isn't really working either. It's not activating my block component. And the reason why I couldn't get my warp to work is because root motion wasn't turned on. So when you head over to your montage of your character, double click to open it, go into the animation itself and make sure that root motion is checked. If I leave this disabled, go back and try to attack him, you'll see that nothing happens. But when I go over back to my hit animation and the animation itself, enable root motion, hit save, go back to the test room, then you're going to see that when I actually attack this character, he flies away. So now I'm just going to set that to a lower distance. 1000 is way too far. I think 200 is a pretty good distance. So let's do, let's try 250 actually, just to see. I just need him to push back. I need him to actually push back a little faster because it's supposed to give a pretty Game Boy style game. So I'll try 0.1 and then there you go. He like kind of flies back really quick. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. This is just so that the player can't just keep swiping and instantly kill him because most of these guys are going to have like 2 to 4 HP. So now I need to make some sort of death animation for him. So in my actions, I'm just going to add one called death actions.death. And for the action tag, I'm going to use the ACF action or ACF death action BP. And now I need to create him a montage for a death animation. I'm going to head back to my map, go over to my enemy folder where the orc's created. And I actually need to create a new folder called orc because there's going to be quite a few enemies and I need to drag everything. I need to drag everything in here just to keep it more organized because I am going to add more enemies pretty soon. And now that that's done, I'm just going to go through every single animation and make sure that root motion is turned on by selecting all of them, going to asset actions and edit selection via property matrix. And then I'll just hit Control, click A to select all of them. And then over here in the details, I'm just going to enable root motion, make sure this is checked and also force root lock and then save. It'll save all my animations and that's good to go. And then I'll hit compile over here and I need to create that montage that we discussed. So in my montage folder, I'm going to right click animation montage, select that orc raider skeleton that we got from KKit and call this orc death underscore am. Double click to open this up, and I need to add some sort of death animation. So he can either just fall back, fall forward, and we'll make him a little more dramatic. So I think fall forward is good. And then he can just loop over here. So we're just going to call this something like end, which is just going to loop to itself so he stays on the ground. So in my anim slot or in my montage section, I'm just going to have default go to end, and then end will go to end too. So it's going to loop here. So he's just going to fall once really dramatically, and then it'll just keep playing him laying on the ground until he's destroyed. So I'll go ahead and add this into my action set. Look for the orc death animation montage, hit compile and save, and this should trigger as soon as he dies. So I'm going to set his HP something really low in the ACF statistics component. In the ACF statistics component, I'm just going to set the default attribute of the statistic and the primary attribute. So default, it's constitution. I'm just going to delete that because I want to hard set my statistics to a certain health value. So for example, it'll be rpg.statistics.health, and I'm going to set this just to 3 HP, no regen value, hit compile, save, go to the test room and just hit him 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. So he's slowly dying, really dramatic, and now he's just looping in this pose. So this looks good, but I also do want him to kind of want him to despawn after dying. And I don't want camera to collide with this stuff whenever he attacks me. So let's fix that up too. So what I'm going to do is head over to that orc AI, go to the skeletal mesh itself, and in the asset details, I'm going to look for, in the details panel, I'm going to look for collision. So I don't want his weapon and stuff to overlap with my camera. So I'm going to go over to this orc AI, look for collision, and basically for collision presets for the mesh itself. So you'll see one for capsule component, one for mesh. For mesh, I'm going to change the collision presets to custom, and I want to make sure that camera is ignored instead of blocked. Since it's blocked, that's pretty much why that it is overlapping us. So now you'll see when he hits us, it's not going to overlap us. We're not going to get any weird camera angles, and we can just kill him. And now he's dead. And when we walk over him, we're not getting that overlapping or that camera flickering like it was before. And we can do the same thing to all the objects. I already did it to this tree before, and I don't think I did it here. So yeah, so let's fix that up. So for example, I'll click on this, open up this blueprint, go over to the collisions. So over in my character component and my character BP, I'm just going to hit spring arm and turn off this do collision test, because when I do play my character and go over stuff like this, it'll overlap and zoom in. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to set my character or my camera angle at this point for the rest of the game. So now when I go over here, you'll see that I'm not getting that weird collision stuff happening because I turned off that do collision test. So now we have the character dying and being attacked, and he's able to attack us. And that's pretty much a complete character in the game I'm working on. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Thank you.